Kirk Alyn, the Superman who believed first. Before superhero movies had billion-dollar budgets and cinematic universes, there was Kirk Alyn, the first actor to portray Superman in live action. In 1948, when bringing a comic book character to the screen was still considered a novelty, Alyn helped lay the foundation for everything that would follow. Without blue screens, wire rigs, or digital effects, he introduced the Man of Steel to the real world through nothing more than performance, physicality, and belief. In the late 1940s, Columbia Pictures produced a 15-part theatrical serial based on Superman, the hugely popular comic book and radio hero. The role required more than a strong jawline. It demanded charisma, athleticism, and the ability to sell the impossible without irony. Though radio Superman Bud Collyer had been a fan favorite, he declined to transition to screen. The cape went instead to Alyn, who impressed producers with his screen test and energy. Released in 1948, Superman became an instant hit with young audiences. It was the first time Superman appeared in live action, leaping over cars, punching through walls, and standing up to evil. Though the budget didn't allow for elaborate effects, the filmmakers used animation for flying sequences. Alyn, meanwhile, handled most of the physical action, running, jumping, and fighting with a dancer's grace and athletic power. The serial also starred Noel Neill as Lois Lane, who would later play the role on TV. Tommy Bond, best known as Butch from Our Gang, played Jimmy Olsen. Together, the cast brought to life a Superman world that felt fast-paced, fun, and true to the character's Golden Age roots. Alyn returned to the role in Atom Man vs. Superman, 1950, another 15-part serial. This time, Superman battled Luthor, played by Lyle Talbot, under the alias Atom Man. The story leaned into post-war sci-fi with teleportation, synthetic kryptonite, and criminal brainwashing. While still made on tight budgets, these serials were packed with energy, imagination, and a genuine love for the source material. To show Superman flying, producers used a now-famous trick. Alyn would leap into the air. The film would cut to animation mid-flight, and then back to live action for landings. The illusion wasn't high-tech, but it worked thanks to Alyn's conviction. His presence and physicality sold the fantasy. Audiences believed a man could fly because he believed it first. Interestingly, Alyn wasn't credited in either serial. Columbia billed Superman as played by himself, a gimmick to preserve the character's mystique. Though his name didn't appear in the credits, Alyn eventually embraced his place in history, attending fan conventions and celebrating his role in bringing Superman to life. He was later offered the chance to reprise Superman on television when The Adventures of Superman was in development in the early 1950s. He turned it down, possibly to avoid being typecast. The role went to George Reeves, who brought a more grounded, fatherly energy to the part. But Alyn had already established what live-action Superman could be. He remained part of the Superman legacy. In 1978's Superman, the movie, Alyn and Neill were cast in cameo roles as Lois Lane's parents in a Smallville scene, a quiet, heartfelt nod to the actors who brought Superman to the screen before anyone else. Comparing Alyn to later Supermen is like comparing eras. Christopher Reeve brought grace and warmth, Brandon Routh, tribute and heart, Henry Cavill, strength and solitude, Tyler Hoechlin, grounded charm. But Alyn was the prototype. He showed a superhero could exist in live action with no apologies, that Superman's core, kindness, courage, resolve, could be conveyed through performance, not just effects. Alyn's stage and dance background gave him a commanding, almost theatrical movement style. Without modern VFX, he relied on poise and sincerity to embody strength. And perhaps most remarkably, he never stopped being Superman to the fans who saw him that way. He continued to attend events and engage with admirers well into his later years. Kirk Alyn didn't need superpowers to define Superman. He gave the character life before Hollywood knew how a live-action hero should even look. And while his name might be missing from the opening credits, it will always be etched in the origin of Superman on screen. Kirk Alyn, the Superman who believed first and helped the world believe too.